We all know how important it is to prepare properly to maximise your performance on the golf course. At Eclipse Golf, we believe that the first and perhaps the most important part of that preparation is to ensure your clubs are fit and built perfectly to suit your game, no matter what your ability. It's an approach that we call performance fitting. Performance fitting is not like your mainstream custom fit service. It starts with a blank canvas and an open mind for every player. It's not influenced by margins or club sales, and we don't hold stock because every club is built from scratch based on our findings for you. Most importantly, there are no brand incentives or sales commissions. We've worked for over 25 years in the industry and on tour, and we're taking all that experience to deliver a service that is so much more comprehensive than your normal retail custom fit. In just the spec alone, we're considering over 35 different elements, and that's before we've even spoken about the set makeup. It's considering technique in swing, in short game, in putting. It considers the player's personality, their motivation, their drive, their physicality, their goals, and their likely progress. It considers the impact that every component has on the weight and the feel and the balance of the club in terms of grip, shaft, and head. It considers how the clubs will work over the short term right now and in the long term, over 18 holes on the conditions of your course, not just in the hit bay. At Eclipse Golf, we are qualified swing experts. That means you don't have to bring your A game to the session. We'll understand from the results what is down to your swing and what is down to the changes we're making with the club. We'll even work with your coach. We'll understand what you're working on and how that might affect things. So we'll build all that into the equation. This includes short game and putting, where small changes can make a big difference. One of the key differences at Eclipse Golf is we build clubs from scratch, and we place a real emphasis on building to a very high tolerance to ensure that what we have fit you for is actually what we build and what you get. Even if we have to order from the brands themselves, when the clubs come in, we'll check them on very high-end spec equipment in order to make sure that they are exactly what we have fit you for. Even if you've had a retail custom fit before, having a performance fitting session is a really worthwhile thing to do because it can verify your specs, or it can suggest areas where you might be able to amend them to actually get a little bit more out of the golf clubs. When you fit for performance rather than a sale, you have to take a no stone unturned approach, and you have to take the time in order to do that, rather than just looking at a screen to see that the ball's gone a little bit further. You have to understand in micro detail things about the grip, the shaft, the head, and also how they actually affect you, the golfer, and your performance on the golf course. With performance fitting, you have to use multiple brands. When I was at Callaway and I conducted all the technical training and I even wrote the fitting handbook that they're still using today, when I came out of that, I realized that I knew Callaway a lot better than the other brands, and I quickly had to ensure that I knew every brand in micro detail, because you have to understand their practices, the way they put clubs together, their build methodology and their tolerances, because if you don't, you cannot get the best fit for your client. When I was working on tour with the best players in the world, you often only had a few minutes to make very important decisions. And we'd also be seeing these players week in and week out. So you got to know them really well. And that was the nature of the beast. With you, we need to take quite a bit more time. This is a really important decision. We will be doing a lot of investigation through the session. It's not just about hitting shots and getting your specification. It's also about understanding what the set makeup of your golf clubs is going to be. And things like golf ball and golf ball choice is hugely important. You can't just fit all that into a short 1 hour session. The experience and the motivation of your fitter is crucial to your results. One of the really important things at Eclipse Golf is we are brand agnostic and will work with a minimum of 8 brands at any one time. It's really important that you don't choose your model before you go for your session, because you may be shortchanging your results. A brand fitting is not a performance fitting. To get the best results out of a session, you have to constantly measure. And we've made considerable investment into equipment in order to ensure that we can do that. Things like digital swing weight machines, loft and lie machines for full clubs and for putters, TrackMan 4. All these things are incredibly important to ensure that we get the best results for you. Performance fitting is about your trust in us, in our experience and our motivation to get you the best results and the best equipment for your game. It's all about the end result. Everything we do at Eclipse Golf is driven by what we call visible value. Your performance fitting is a 5-step process. Step 1 is the pre-fit, all about gathering information about you, where you play, all the information we need to make sure that we are prepared for you for our sessions. So how tall are you? Are you left or right-handed? What's your handicap? How often do you play? Which golf course do you play on? All those things are vital for us to understand and be prepared for you before we actually see you. Step 2 is the fitting process itself. This is where we meet, and this is where we start to establish a lot more about your needs and your wants and your desires. We'll measure your current equipment if you have it, and we'll start to understand what you are used to. And we'll look at lots and lots of detail that will enable us to fine-tune what we're going to give you. So that includes measurements such as swing weight, it's checking length, it's checking lie angle, it's checking the balance, the gross weight of the golf club, the grip size, the thickness, the texture. All these things are elements that I can change to help improve your game. And what I'm doing is I'm not just measuring that equipment, I'm also marrying it up with what you want to see and what you want to feel. It doesn't actually matter what your ability is. We go into a lot of depth and a lot of detail that most won't. And it includes things like, when you're looking at head model, for example, you're looking at things like sole width, sole camber, radius, offset, size of head, weight, shape, and all those sorts of things that go into choosing the right head. In terms of shaft, you're looking at the entire shaft's character. You're looking at torque, kick, you're looking at weight and counterbalancing, and all the things that go into giving you a shaft that actually feels right and actually performs well for you. And most importantly, or often overlooked, is things like the grip, size, texture, durability. If you can get a grip that takes the tension away from your swing, that makes a massive difference as well. The third step of the process is everything we do straight after the fit. So once you've left us, we'll put all the detail into your PDF spec forms. We will then send that over to you in order for you to check it and make sure everything's exactly as you understood it as well. Because we're taking you through that story, that journey through the entire fitting process, and we want you to understand it. So when you look at what we specified for you, it makes some form of sense. At that point there, if you're ready to go, we actually go ahead and place the actual order. And that will either be with one of the brands, and if it's with one of the brands, we will check everything. When it comes into us, we'll check the exact specs of those clubs to ensure they are exactly what we have recommended you. If it's a specialist component brand, we will build the clubs to your exact spec. So you are absolutely confident that what you've got is what we fitted you for. Step 4 of the process is really important. It's our test run session. And this is all about making sure that everything we've done actually works and feels great. We'll not only make sure that it feels good in terms of swing weight and the length and the lie, and that it's performing absolutely spot on. What we'll also do is make sure we understand your carry distance as well. So the first time you get out onto the golf course, you know they work and you know how far you hit them. That lends itself to a very different experience. And it's this session which is bringing everything towards a conclusion. And it's what I learned on tour. That attention to detail to make sure everything's absolutely perfect is hopefully what sets us apart. Step 5 in the process is actually our follow-up to you. Once you've played a couple of rounds, we will communicate with you, because what this is all about, it comes to this point here. How are you playing out on the golf course with the clubs that we've recommended you? Have we done it right? Are you happy with it? Hopefully we'll get really good response. But if something isn't quite right, rest assured, we are with you on this journey and we will fix it for you. So if you agree that getting your equipment right is the most important part of your preparation, then please get in touch. We'd love to work with you.